He's the invincible hero in movies, but his real life is a story of devastating loss very few people have ever heard. To uncover the silent strength of the man behind the legend, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications for more inspiring stories. This is the story of Keanu Reeves. You know him from movies like The Matrix, John Wick, and Speed. But what you might not know is the life he has lived behind the screen. He has lived a life full of deep pain, many sacrifices, and silent tears. He didn't just act in movies, he lived through his own storms. He lost his father, his daughter, his girlfriend, and his best friend. He almost lost himself, but still, he stood up every single time. He did it quietly, humbly, and with great strength. He trained day and night to become Neo in the Matrix. He gave away millions of dollars to support the people who worked with him. He still rides the subway like a normal person. He still helps homeless people without cameras or attention. He still lives like a simple man with a golden heart. And that is why this story is more than just entertainment. It is a powerful English listening lesson. You will learn how to understand English, feel real emotions, and improve your vocabulary, all while listening to one of the most inspiring life stories ever. Now, if you can put on your earphones, sit back and feel every single moment of this journey. Let's begin. Keanu Charles Reeves was born on September 2, 1964, in a city far away called Beirut in Lebanon. His mother, Patricia Taylor, was from England. She was a costume designer, creative, smart, and independent. His father, Samuel Nolan Reeves Jr., was from Hawaii, with a mix of Chinese, Hawaiian, and English roots. He worked as a geologist, but he later struggled with drugs and left the family. When Keanu was just 3 years old, his father walked away from their lives, and by the time Keanu was 6, his father had completely disappeared. Keanu never saw him again. His mother was left alone raising 2 kids. They moved again and again from Beirut to Australia, then to New York, and finally they settled in Toronto, Canada. Keanu grew up with a younger sister named Kim Reeves. He loved her deeply. Later in his life, when she became sick with cancer, Keanu stayed by her side like a real-life superhero. Because his mother married 4 different men, Keanu had to live with different stepfathers. Some were kind, and some were not. He changed schools many times, and he often felt alone like an outsider looking in. But one thing was clear. Even then, Keanu was different. Keanu had a tough time in school. He was diagnosed with dyslexia, a learning disorder that made it very hard for him to read and focus. He once said, "I was never good at school. I didn't fit in. I struggled to read. I wasn't the best student." He went to 4 different high schools in just 5 years. But Keanu was not lazy. He was very smart, just not in the traditional way. He had a deep imagination, and he was curious about everything. Here's something that not everyone knows: Keanu loved chess. He used to play against adults in the park, and sometimes he would win easily. He once said, "I love chess. It's a war on a board. The strategy, the patience, the pain. It's like life." But even in chess, he often played alone. It was his escape from the world. Keanu also had a great passion for ice hockey. He played as a goalkeeper, and he was amazing at it. His teammates called him the Wall because it felt like no one could score a goal against him. He dreamed of becoming a professional ice hockey player, maybe even going to the Olympics one day. But that dream ended when he got injured. He had to stop playing seriously. This moment broke his heart, but sometimes when one dream ends, another one begins. In school, Keanu joined a drama class. He stood on the stage, performed a scene, and something just clicked inside him. He felt free. He could be anyone, feel anything, and speak what was in his heart. That's when he thought, maybe I could become an actor. His heart was set. At the age of 17, he officially dropped out of school and said goodbye to traditional education. He started doing theater TV commercials and small roles in Canada. To survive, he worked part-time jobs. He was a cook, a manager, and even a pasta chef in a restaurant. He had no support, no special contacts, and no money. But he had one thing, an unbreakable will. At age 20, Keanu got into his old Volvo car, said goodbye to Canada, and drove to Los Angeles. He was alone, hungry, and unknown, but he was filled with hope. He wanted to chase his dream in Hollywood, the city where stars are made or broken. He had no big plan, no agent, and no family waiting for him. He just had a dream and a little bit of money in his pocket. He stayed at his stepfather's place for some time, but soon he was on his own. He started visiting acting studios, knocking on doors, and auditioning for anything he could find. TV ads, background roles, even theater in a small basement. And guess what? People didn't understand him. They found his name Keanu too strange. At first, agents told him to change it to something easy and American. Can you believe that they told him, "You won't get roles with a name like Keanu"? But Keanu didn't like fake things. He tried using the name Keanu Reeves for a short time, but it just didn't feel right. So he said, "No, my name is Keanu Reeves. I will make it work." He finally got his first small movie role in a Canadian film called One Step Away in 1985. Not many people watched it, but Keanu's face began to show up. Then came a bigger opportunity, River's Edge in 1986. This was a dark and emotional film, a story about teenagers and a terrible crime. Keanu played a boy who was trying to make sense of his world falling apart. His performance was natural and raw, and people in the industry started saying, "There's something special about this guy." During these early years, Keanu traveled a lot. He went back and forth between Toronto and Los Angeles. He didn't care about money or fame. He cared about acting honesty and real emotions. He used to drive thousands of miles just to act in a play or join a film even if it paid very little. He didn't party. He didn't chase luxury. He just wanted to work hard and create real art. In 1989, something unexpected happened. Keanu got the role of Ted in a crazy comedy film, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. It was a time travel comedy about two teenage guys who are not very smart, but are very lovable. The movie became a surprise hit. People absolutely loved it. Suddenly, Keanu was a teen star. There were posters, interviews, magazines, but he didn't want to be seen as just a silly actor. He wanted to do serious roles too. After Bill and Ted, many people thought Keanu was only good for those kinds of cute, funny roles. But Keanu didn't want to be typecast. He rejected many offers. He said no to big money just because he didn't feel the role was true to him. He once said, "I'd rather ride the subway and read Shakespeare than act in a bad film." Can you imagine how brave that is in a city like Hollywood? In 1991, Keanu acted in My Own Private Idaho with his best friend River Phoenix. It was a very deep film, emotional and painful, about lost people searching for love. Keanu showed the world that he could be a serious, dramatic actor. He became very close friends with River Phoenix. They were like brothers. Both were kind, both were silent, and both seemed to carry a certain pain inside them. But on October 31st, 1993, River tragically died from a drug overdose. He was just 23 years old. Keanu was devastated. He stayed silent about it for a long, long time, but it was clear that losing River broke him. Keanu became quieter, more thoughtful. He no longer cared about fame. Instead, he focused on doing meaningful work and living a simple life. Even years later, he would speak about River with love and sadness. In an interview when he was asked about death, Keanu said, "The ones who love us will miss us. That line showed just how much he still missed his friend. Losing River changed Keanu deeply, but it also made him a more compassionate and humble person. During this time, Keanu lived very simply. He loved motorcycles. He once said they gave him a feeling of freedom and danger. He also loved reading philosophy books. He didn't like parties. He often sat alone in cafes with a book and a cup of black coffee. Sometimes people saw him feeding stray dogs. Sometimes he was seen sitting quietly in the park, just watching the world go by. Fame didn't change him. He said, "Money doesn't mean anything to me. I give away what I don't need." In 1994, Keanu got a script that would change his life. It was a movie called Speed. A bus, a bomb. A hero cop. A thrilling race against time. Keanu played Jack Traven, a calm and strong police officer. This movie was a super hit. Keanu became a global superstar seemingly overnight. People screamed his name. Directors wanted to work with him. His posters were everywhere. But guess what? He didn't let the fame go to his head. When the producers asked him to do Speed 2, he said no because the story didn't feel right to him. They offered him millions of dollars, but he walked away. He chose honesty over money. In the late 1990s, something unbelievable happened. A script landed on his table. It was something strange, futuristic, and powerful. It was called The Matrix. The directors were the Wachowski siblings. They wanted Keanu to play Neo, the savior, the hacker who would change the world. Keanu didn't fully understand the script at first, but he felt something powerful in it. So he said yes. And then he started training. He trained for 4 to 5 hours every single day, martial arts, wirework, shooting, and philosophy. He trained so hard that he actually damaged his spine. His neck was seriously injured and he had to have surgery before they even started filming. But he didn't tell the directors. Why? Because he didn't want to stop the movie. He continued training with constant pain in his neck and numbness in his body. This was a real sacrifice. And when The Matrix was released in 1999, it changed cinema forever. Keanu became Neo, and Neo became a legend. The world saw him as a superhero, a fighter, a savior. But what they didn't see was that behind the scenes, Keanu was slowly breaking inside. After training for months, even with a damaged spine, Keanu pulled off the impossible. The Matrix became a global revolution. People all over the world said, "Who is this man? He's not just an actor, he's something else." But while the movie was exploding in theaters, Keanu was going through his own silent pain. His spine injury had left him with numbness in his legs, and on some days he couldn't even stand properly. Still, he never complained. He just did his physical therapy, quietly did his exercises, and went back to work. In 1998, Keanu met a young woman named Jennifer Syme. She was a kind, soft-spoken assistant to a famous director. They met at a party. She wasn't impressed by his fame. She liked his shyness and his honest eyes. They started dating. For the first time in years, Keanu smiled like a young boy. They listened to music together. They talked about poetry. They watched sunsets in silence. And then, in 1999, Jennifer became pregnant. Keanu was going to be a father. He was so happy. He bought books about babies. He decorated a small room in his house for the baby. He once whispered to a friend, "I've never been this excited in my life." But in December of 1999, just weeks before the baby was due, tragedy struck. Their daughter Ava Archer Syme Reeves was stillborn. That means she died inside the womb before she could be born. Keanu was shattered. Jennifer was broken. The pain was too much for them, and their relationship ended a few weeks later, but they still cared for each other deeply. Keanu became quiet again. He would sit alone on the floor for hours. No TV, no phone, no music, just silence. Then, in April 2001, just 18 months after losing their daughter, Jennifer died in a car crash. She was driving home from a party. She was just 28 years old. When Keanu got the news, he didn't scream. He didn't cry in public. He just stood still. He went home and sat on the same couch where they had once watched movies together. He said nothing. That week, he canceled all his interviews. He didn't attend Hollywood parties. He didn't talk to anyone. He walked alone at night. He visited the cemetery silently. He later said in an interview, "Grief never ends. It just changes form." I want to pause the story here for a moment. Think about this. He lost his best friend, then his daughter, and then the woman he loved. This is a level of pain that most of us cannot imagine. So my question for you is, how does a person find the strength to go on after so much loss? What do you think gave him the will to keep moving forward? I would be really interested to read your thoughts on this in the comments below. Let's continue with the story. Despite all the pain, Keanu showed up for work. In 2001 and 2002, he started filming The Matrix Reloaded and The Matrix Revolutions back to back. He trained again even harder than before, but this time his eyes were different. He was no longer just acting. He was using his real deep pain to play Neo, the man who carries the weight of the world on his shoulders. He refused to use body doubles for most of the action scenes. He fought, he flew, he fell, all with a heart full of grief and a body full of injuries. He even gave away $75 million from his own salary to the special effects and costume design teams. He said, "They're the real heroes. They made this movie." Can you imagine that most actors fight for more money? Keanu gave his money away silently. During these years, Keanu didn't date anyone. He didn't attend film premieres unless it was absolutely necessary. He spent his time in his garage fixing motorcycles. He read books about life-death Zen meditation and loneliness. He would visit bookstores late at night, buy 5 or 6 books, and read them while sitting on the floor under a single lamp. He wasn't trying to escape his pain. He was trying to understand it. In 2005, Keanu took another deep role as John Constantine, a man fighting demons both from the outside and from within. It was a dark, spiritual, and mysterious film, and once again, Keanu poured his soul into it. Why? Because he understood what it felt like to be caught between heaven and hell. By now, Keanu was one of the richest actors in Hollywood. But here is the truth. He lived in a small apartment. He often rode the subway. He gave millions of dollars to children's hospitals anonymously. He once gave a $20,000 bonus to a set worker who was struggling financially. He often sat and ate with homeless people without any cameras around. One time, someone asked him why he was so generous. He replied, "I know what pain feels like. I want to help someone feel a little less of it." In the middle of his career, Keanu was also taking care of his sister Kim. She had been fighting leukemia, a type of blood cancer, for years. He spent millions of dollars on her treatment. He stayed by her side through chemotherapy and took long breaks from filming just to cook for her and read to her. He once said, "My sister is my hero." Thanks to his support, Kim survived. But he never spoke much about it. He only smiled and said, "She's doing better. That's all that matters." By 2007, Keanu had everything: money, fame, respect. But inside, he was still lonely. He didn't go out much. He didn't date. He didn't post on social media. People started calling him the sad guy of Hollywood. But Keanu didn't care. He said, "Being alone is not the same as being lonely. I like my space." And that's how he lived. A silent warrior carrying his pain like armor. Keanu Reeves sat in his small apartment in Los Angeles. It was 2007. He had no wife, no children, no family close by. He only had his books, a guitar, a few motorcycles, and silence. He wasn't sad, but he wasn't exactly happy either. He had simply accepted life as it was full of pain, surprises, and small moments of peace. Every evening after reading or watching old movies, Keanu would go into his garage. He had custom motorcycles not just for riding, but for building piece by piece. He would sit on the floor wearing an old white t-shirt and open his toolbox. No cameras, no helpers, just him and the machine. He once said, "When I ride a motorcycle, I feel free. It's just me, the engine, and the wind." Motorcycles reminded him of life, fast, dangerous, and beautiful. In 2011, something happened. Keanu met a bike engineer named Gard Hollinger. Keanu had a dream to build his own motorcycle brand, not for profit, not to become more famous, but to create art on two wheels. Together, Keanu and Gard worked for 5 years. They designed, tested, failed, and redesigned. In 2015, they finally launched Arch Motorcycle. The bikes were not cheap. Each one cost over $85,000. But that didn't matter to Keanu. He said, "This isn't about money. It's about soul. Each bike is unique like a person." He still test rides every model himself. Even today, he wears his helmet and takes long rides through hills and mountains far away from Hollywood. During this time, Marvel and DC were growing fast. They called Keanu. They said, "Would you like to be Batman? Would you like to be Iron Man?" But Keanu said no. He didn't want to be another billionaire in a superhero suit. He wanted stories that had meaning. Pain and heart rolls where the character loses everything but still stands up. That's what he was waiting for. Even after doing dozens of movies and earning over $300 million. Keanu's life was still quiet and humble. He didn't buy a mansion. He didn't hire bodyguards. He didn't throw wild parties. He would wake up, make coffee, take his books to the park, and read under a tree. He would go to public restaurants, wait in line, and tip the waiters generously. He gave money to people on the street, but not in a showy way. He would sit down with them, talk, laugh, and share his food. One time, a tourist secretly filmed him giving his sandwich to a homeless man and just talking with him for hours. The video went viral. People said, "He's the most humble man in Hollywood." Here's what Keanu's day often looked like between 2007 and 2013. In the morning, he would wake up around 7:00 a.m., make black coffee, play his guitar, and read his books. Late in the morning, he would go to the gym for a short workout, sometimes practicing martial arts to stay sharp. In the afternoon, he might have meetings for his motorcycle company or visit his sister Kim. In the evening, he would ride his motorcycle into the hills, sometimes stopping at a bookstore or grabbing dinner alone. And at night, he wrote in his personal notebook. He wrote poems, thoughts and questions about life and death. He once wrote in his notebook, "What does it mean to be alive? I don't know, but I'm grateful for today." Most people don't know this, but Keanu is a poet. In 2011, he wrote a small, deep book called Ode to Happiness. It's not a normal book. It has short, simple lines like, "I draw a hot bath and sink in the deep. I close my eyes and pretend I sleep." He also loves photography. He takes black and white photos of old streets, broken chairs, empty shoes, and shadows. He once said, "Beauty is everywhere. You just have to slow down to see it." From 2007 to 2013, Keanu didn't do many big films. He acted in smaller movies. Some of them flopped. Some were just average. Hollywood slowly started to forget about him. New stars became popular. But Keanu never chased attention. He stayed still, calm, and silent. And then, something unexpected happened. In 2013, two stuntmen who had worked with him on The Matrix, Chad Stahelski and David Leitch, came to him. They had an idea. What if you played a retired hitman who loses his wife and then someone kills his dog? Keanu didn't laugh. He didn't say it was a silly idea. He looked at them and said, "I understand that pain." Because he had felt it. He agreed to do it. Not for money, not for fame, but because he felt the story in his bones. The first John Wick movie came out in 2014. Keanu trained like a soldier for 10 hours a day. Gun practice, hand-to-hand combat knife defense, and judo. He even learned to shoot while running, rolling, and jumping. He did 90% of his own stunts. The movie was not just action. It was quiet, dark, and emotional. Keanu barely spoke, but every look, every movement had meaning. And people loved it. John Wick became a new legend. Keanu was back. In the film, the dog represented his late wife and his lost love. But in real life, Keanu also once rescued a stray dog. He found it injured outside a mechanic shop. He paid for its treatment, adopted it, and named it Harley after his favorite motorcycle. They became best friends. Everywhere Keanu went, Harley followed. Even on set during breaks, the dog would sit quietly beside him. It wasn't acting. It was real love. John Wick was a huge hit. But for Keanu, it wasn't just a movie. It was a reminder. He could still move people without loud words, without a mask, just with honesty. After the success of John Wick, people started talking about him again. Not as the guy from The Matrix, not as that sad meme, but as a man who carried pain with strength and turned it into art. This comeback was incredible, and it started a whole new chapter for him, both professionally and personally. To see how he built this new life and the philosophy that guides him today, make sure you subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the final part of his inspiring journey. He trained even harder for the next films. Every morning judo, every afternoon gun work, and fast driving. Pain and sweat. He was almost 50 years old, but he didn't care. He wanted to give his best to every single scene. "If I'm going to do it," he said, "I'll do it like it matters." Then came John Wick 2 to 3 and 4. Each one went deeper. More fights, more emotion, but also more silence, more soul. And Keanu gave everything. He got bruises and cuts. His knees hurt, and his back ached, but he never stopped. "People are paying to see me give my best," he said. "So I will." But here's what people didn't see. After filming, he didn't go to parties. He would go home, take a hot shower, make some tea, and play his guitar in the dark. He would think about life, about pain, about his sister, about his old love, and about how far he had come. People offered him superhero roles again. Batman, number Iron Man, number. Because Keanu didn't want to be a Superman. He wanted to be a real man. A man who breaks, but still stands. A man who loses, but still loves. That's who John Wick was. But his life wasn't just about movies now. He brought his old band Dogstar back together. He wrote comic books. He voiced characters in video games. And through it all, he stayed humble. No mansion, no gold watches, no VIP lounges. Just a motorcycle, a quiet cafe, and a black notebook where he wrote his poems. Today, people still love Keanu. Not because he's rich, not because he's famous, but because he reminds us of something rare. You can be broken and still be kind. You can be lonely and still give love. You can lose everything and still rise. After years of facing the storm, Keanu finally began to live a life filled with quiet power. He never showed off his success. Instead, he chose a simple apartment over mansions, public transport, over limousines and kindness over arrogance. He was loved not just as an actor, but as a deeply humble human being. Despite making hundreds of millions of dollars from blockbuster films, Keanu gave away much of his earnings. He donated secretly to children's hospitals and cancer research foundations. He didn't want attention for it. He once said, "I don't want to attach my name because I just want them to be supported." Let's talk about his net worth. As of recent estimates, Keanu Reeves' net worth is over $382 million. But for him, money was never the goal. He once said, "Money doesn't mean anything to me. I could live on what I've already made for the next few centuries." He lives by powerful words. Here are some of the quotes that reflect his life and thinking. Grief changes shape, but it never ends. Sometimes we get so caught up in our daily lives that we forget to take the time out to enjoy the beauty in life. The simple act of paying attention can take you a long way. The person who was holding me back the most was myself. Every struggle in your life has shaped you into the person you are today. Be thankful for the hard times. They can only make you stronger. In recent years, he has continued to write books and explore new creative projects. He co-founded Arch Motorcycle Company, building custom motorcycles with his team. He also made time for spiritual growth. Keanu is known for exploring Buddhism, reading philosophy, and often visiting Japan for peace and personal reflection. And yes, he still plays hockey with friends when he can. He still enjoys chess. He reads, he writes, he loves poetry. He still walks in the park and sits on benches alone. Fame didn't change him. Pain didn't break him. He didn't just survive. He transformed. His life is more than a story. It's a lesson. Here are some life-changing lessons we can learn from Keanu Reeves. First, kindness is a strength, not a weakness. No matter how successful you become, stay grounded and treat everyone with respect. Second, pain is a teacher. Life will hurt. People will leave, but healing begins when you accept the pain and grow from it. Third, live simply. You don't need luxury to be happy. You need peace, purpose, and people who care. Fourth, never stop learning. Whether it's martial arts, languages, or philosophy, keep expanding your mind. Fifth, give without expecting. Help others in silence. Make the world a better place, even if nobody is watching. And finally, forgive and let go. Don't let hate or anger eat you up. Move forward with love. Stay humble. No matter how far you go in life, remember where you came from. Keanu often reminds us that moments with our loved ones matter more than material things. He once said something beautiful. If you have been brutally broken, but still have the courage to be gentle to other living beings, then you're a badass with the heart of an angel. That is Keanu Reeves, a warrior of silence, a soul that walked through fire and still offered warmth to the world. And that's where our story concludes. This one was a real journey. I am so curious to hear your take on it all. What were your final thoughts? Do you have any lingering questions about why a character did what they did? Please leave all your opinions, theories, and questions below. I truly love reading them and building this conversation with all of you. If you feel inspired, if you feel stronger, more hopeful, or more at peace after this journey, then Keanu's story has done its job. And if this story helped improve your English listening too, then we have done our job. Thank you for listening. Until next time, stay kind, stay strong, and keep growing.